Tonight on Ctv3 News, police investigate disturbing desecration of child's tomb in San Andres, Corozal. Orange Walk Police Constable dies in crash near Biscayne. Officer Armando Toledano was en route to duty when the collision occurred. And NTUCB cancels demonstration but puts government on notice over demands. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Monday, August 17th, 2020.
Money travels fast, so make sure you check it before you spend it. Here are 4 easy ways to know your money is real. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Look closely at your note by holding it to the light to see the watermark and the note value. Notice how the see-through image completes itself perfectly. Feel for authenticity. Run your fingers over the raised portrait and the bars on the edges. 1 bar for the $2 and up to 6 bars for the $100. Tilt the note to see the hidden value appear. Look for the moving images on the security thread and holographic shimmer on higher denominations. Check closely. Use UV light or a magnifying glass to find hidden images and microtext. Remember, handling counterfeit money is illegal. If you spot a fake, report it to the police immediately. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Know your money. Check it before you spend it. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
In Belize, the Public Utilities Commission works every day amid the rhythm of economic activities to ensure homes, businesses, and communities have access to necessary utility services. Through regulations, the Public Utilities Commission powers progress, connect communities, encourage new ideas and bold innovation, manage consumer rights, guide change, and serves in the best interests of national development for a future that benefits us all. Every decision is informed by evidence and guided by regulations and the law. So if and when changes arise in any of Belize's utility sectors, including situations that may affect competition, regulations and laws allow the PUC to carefully assess those changes, ensuring consumers are treated fairly while maintaining a sustainable utility sector. The Public Utilities Commission, guided by the law, informed by evidence, working to ensure fair and sustainable utility services for Belize.
The first week we had it at Henry. Now this second week we're having it here at Georgetown Technical High School. Basically what we're doing is that we're trying to get youths involved in agriculture, especially because that is very important. We need it for food security, we need them to be sustainable. So we target them at a young age so that they can be able to incorporate whatever activity they're learning in their daily life, especially during the summer days, right? Regular summer camps would entail them probably to have some fun games outdoors and different other activities, but in terms of agriculture, we get them involved in different activities. For example, the whole week it's broken down in different activities. We had on Monday, we had horticulture, meaning that they had the opportunity to sow a seed, to do transplanting in a cover structure. On Tuesday, we taught them about livestock concept when it comes to New World screwworm, different livestock related activities. Wednesday, beekeeping. Thursday, we focus on agro-processing, getting preparations when it comes to hands-on practice with healthy breakfast, healthy meals. And then on Friday, we wrap up with aquaculture.
I just wanted to see the different topics we were going to learn about to try to learn something. We were learning about beekeeping, and I learned a lot that in one bee box, they can be up to 80,000 bees. I've been having a lot of fun.
They are always excited. I mean, every day they come, you see a lot of sense of happiness and humor within them that they want to come to the agriculture summer program.
I'm very impressed with the amount of participants because we try to limit it to 50. I believe today we have almost 70. And so we're doing serious encouragement for young people. Because when I assume the responsibility as the Minister of Agriculture, I recognize that young people don't want to do agriculture anymore. They want to be in tourism or academics or something like that regard. But as a nation, agriculture is the backbone of any economy. So as the minister responsible, I want to do everything possible to encourage young people to go into farming.
Good evening. With your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. Police in Corozal are investigating the disturbing break-in of a tomb at the San Andres Village Cemetery, where the remains of a 12-year-old boy were found scattered outside the grave. The incident was discovered on Sunday, August 16th, after surveyors working near the cemetery noticed that a tomb had been damaged. They alerted the family, who then contacted police. According to police, the tomb belonged to a young boy who passed away in 2018. When officers arrived at the cemetery, they observed a hole approximately 15 inches in diameter in the tomb. Clothing belonging to the deceased and skeletal remains were found on the ground outside. Police also noted that the skull was missing. The boy's grandmother, 58-year-old Juanita Dominguez of San Andres Village, told police that her family was alerted around 1:30 Sunday afternoon and went to the cemetery, where they confirmed that the tomb had been tampered with. Investigators are now working to determine who broke into the tomb, why it was targeted, and what happened to the missing skull.
Yes, I can confirm that the officers in Corozal are investigating the disinterment of a body at the cemetery at that location. What we know is that the caretakers at the cemetery reported that on the 16th of August, when they were making their rounds, they observed a tomb that was broken into, and the remains of the person was exposed. The caretaker indicated that the last time they were in the area and observed it to be intact was around the 10th, so we suspect it occurred between the 10th and the 16th. So it's a matter of investigation. Much has not been learned. However, that is the status that it is right now. I cannot think of any idea, and as a matter of fact, the person was buried, I think, back in 2018, so quite some time has passed since then. However, as I stated, police continue to investigate to see what may have caused someone to take that course of action.
Police have not indicated whether they have identified any suspects, and the investigation remains ongoing. A police officer was killed in a traffic collision over the weekend while traveling to report for duty in Belize City. Police Constable 500 Armando Toledano, who is from Orange Walk Town, was reportedly riding his motorcycle near Biscayne Village when he was involved in a collision. He sustained critical injuries and was rushed for medical treatment, but later succumbed to his injuries. Preliminary reports indicate that PC Toledano was in uniform and on his way to begin his 4 p.m. shift at the Raccoon Street Police Station when the accident occurred.
The Belize Police countdown. Ergo. The Belize Police Department and the Ministry of Home Affairs and Enterprise express sincere condolences to the family and colleagues of PC 500 Armando Toledano of Orange Walk District. PC Toledano succumbed to the injuries that he sustained in a traffic accident, which occurred on Saturday, 15 August 2026 at around 2:50 p.m. near mile 27 on the Philip Goulson Highway. What we have learned so far in the course of the ongoing investigation is that PC Toledano was traveling on his Leifan brand motorcycle from the direction of Orange Walk to Belize City when, upon reaching near mile 27, a collision occurred between the motorcycle he was traveling on and a Ford Explorer that was traveling in the opposite direction. A notice of intended prosecution has been served on the driver of the motor vehicle, who has been cooperating with police and who has also provided a urine sample. PC Toledano was a serving member of the Belize Police Department for 24 years up to the time of his passing, and he was posted at the Eastern Division, where he inspired his colleagues and gained the confidence of the public that he served.
Assistant Superintendent of Police Stacy Smith says the department does its best to assign officers as close to home as possible and, where necessary, provide accommodations to reduce the need for long commutes. However, she acknowledged that despite these efforts, tragic incidents like this cannot always be prevented.
The department certainly strives to have officers posted as nearest to their homes. However, you would note that a vast majority of the staffing of the police department requires to, be placed in Belize City Eastern Division. And there is also a policy of not wanting to have people be in communities that they're too familiar with. We have been striving to ensure that officers, as I said, are placed as close as possible to their homes, or that we put arrangements in place to enable their transportation. Well, the integrity of the investigation is paramount. Certainly, if there was a matter where life was at risk in terms of the persons in the traffic being upheld, that would take paramount consideration. But where that is not the concern, the integrity of the scene in terms of conducting a thorough investigation is the paramount consideration. Certainly, the view is to do it as expedient as possible, but you cannot be expedient at the expense of being thorough.
Police investigation into this incident continues. A 33-year-old fisherman from Sartaneja village was charged over the weekend murder following a deadly confrontation aboard a fishing vessel near Ranguana Key. Mauri Julian Gomez was formally arrested and charged with murder in connection with the death of 35-year-old Jose Luis Arteaga. Gomez was also charged with wounding for allegedly injuring 34-year-old Marvin Alexander Arteaga, who survived the incident. Police say the confrontation occurred on Wednesday, August 12th, while the fishermen were aboard a vessel anchored about 25 feet off Ranguana Key, roughly 18 to 20 miles off Placencia. Police received information shortly after 4:30 that afternoon that two fishermen had been stabbed. Preliminary investigations indicate that an altercation broke out among the men, during which Jose Luis and Marvin Arteaga were allegedly stabbed. Other fishermen aboard the vessel reportedly managed to subdue Gomez. However, because the group was traveling by sailboat, it took some time to reach Placencia. Police later met the vessel and both injured men were taken for medical attention. Jose Luis Arteaga was transported to the Placencia Polyclinic, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Marvin Arteaga received treatment and survived.
All right. Police have formally arrested and charged 33-year-old Marie Julian Gomez, a Belizean fisherman, for the crime of murder and the offense of wounding. The arrest of Gomez follows police investigation into the murder of Jose Luis Arteaga and the injury of another male person. What the investigation has so far established is that Gomez, along with Arteaga and other persons, were at Rangana Key when an altercation reportedly ensued. During the course of the altercation, Mari is reported to have stabbed Jose Luis Arteaga, a fisherman, and injured another person before he was subdued by other fishermen that were at that location. We believe drugs played a factor. He was intoxicated.
Police have charged 2 men in separated drug-related cases over the weekend. In the first case, 33-year-old Alexander Gomez, a resident of San Ignacio Town, was charged with possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply after police allegedly found crack cocaine in his possession. In a separate case, Belize City resident Alexander Underwood was also charged in connection with a drug offense after being found in possession of cocaine. Both men have been charged.
Police have formally arrested and charged Alexander Gomez, 33 years of age, of San Ignacio Town, for the offense of possession of controlled drugs with intent to supply. The arresting officer reported that at approximately 1:50 a.m. on Saturday, 15 August, he was on patrol on Bullet Tree Road when his attention was drawn to Gomez, whose conduct aroused that officer's suspicion. A search was conducted on Mr. Gomez, which led to the discovery of a folded piece of paper which contained suspected crack cocaine weighing approximately 1.58 grams. Police have formally arrested and charged 36-year-old Jason Underwood for the offense of possession of controlled drugs with intent to supply to another. The arresting officer reported that on Thursday, 13 August 2026 at around 6:25 p.m., he conducted a search on the person of Mr. Underwood, which resulted in the discovery of a transparent plastic bag that was secured around his waistband, and that transparent plastic contained suspected cocaine amounting to 15.2 grams.
No demonstration tomorrow. NTUCB shifts focus to government demands after BTL Smart Deal falls through. Stay tuned.
It's nothing about censorship. I don't know how you could come to that. I think the big thing about the broadcasting authority is that now all of these online media people, blogs or whatever, that are taking advertisements and everything, also they have to be held to the same standards that you are being held. You all are at a disadvantage competing with these bloggers. These bloggers go online and they hear something and just put it out there without even checking whether it is so or not so, and all that kind of thing, and then they're collecting revenues. They're providing a kind of like a service to the public, and they need to be held to the same journalistic standards that you at Love and Creme, Channel 7, Channel 5 are being held to. And that's the main part of it. Technology has changed, so we can't continue using the same legislation that was addressing the technology of the 1990s. So we have to keep up with that. So it has absolutely nothing to do with censorship.
Every day, the demand on your business get higher. More productivity, better equipment, and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startup startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
When I come here with me and my family, I get quality service. I have no problem with the doctors nor the nurses. It has a lot of impact on the families because they can also use the service just like me. People younger than me have to pay $2 while I get my medication free.
So that's the great thing about NHI, that you can, access the service based on your ability to pay or not. All right. So that's the game changer of NHI, is that a consultation is $2, and I think if you don't have the $2, we would never deny the service. Built into that is children under 5 years old or above 60 years old or pregnant women. They have been suspended from the $2, what we call co-pay. So for them it's totally free.
I am glad because before I would have to pay out of pocket. Now, well, because I'm senior citizen, I can get most of them for free.
I think NHI is for everybody. Once you have a social security card, you should register for NHI.
With the BTL Smart acquisition deal now off the table, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, NTUCB, has called off plans for a demonstration scheduled for tomorrow following consultations with its affiliated unions. Instead of taking to the streets, the NTUCB will hold a press conference where union leaders are expected to outline their concerns and lay out what they want from the government of Belize. Representatives of the Belize National Teachers Union, BNTU, will also be present. BNTU President Nadia Callis says the union will use the opportunity to table several demands before the government. According to Callis, what happens after those demands are presented will be critical. She says the government's response will help determine what course the unions take next.
That will be held on Tuesday. There are a series of demands that the NTUCB will put forth. How the powers that be response to these demands will determine the way forward. For the BNTU, I must tell you that we are keeping our eyes on the education bill. We have made recommendations. Some of them are accepted, some are not. We once again made those recommendations via the committee, the House committee. Tomorrow, we'll be going there to make additional recommendations, and this is as it relates to the IT vet bill. How they respond to the priority areas of the BNTU will determine, and you all know during the consultation, you have already stated what you want us to do, but how they respond will determine how we pursue this. So while the NTUCB has its challenges, that affects us as well, we have those that affects the BNTU. And UB, tend to the business we pay you. We cannot turn a blind eye.
The decision to cancel tomorrow's demonstration does not necessarily signal an end to the union's concerns. Instead, the press conference appears to be the next major step in a process that could shape the relationship between the labor movement and government in the days ahead. All eyes will now be on the press conference and, more importantly, on how the government responds to the demands being placed before it. That response could ultimately determine whether tensions ease through dialogue or whether the labor movement moves towards further action. Members of the Belize Coast Guard are seeking clarification after reportedly being informed that they will not receive a per diem meal allowance that they had previously understood would be available to personnel within the country's security forces. Information reaching our newsroom indicates that Coast Guard members were advised by the Chief Executive Officer and the Commandant of the Belize Coast Guard that the allowance would not be paid to them. The decision has reportedly come despite earlier representations that personnel from both the Belize Defense Force (BDF) and the Belize Coast Guard would qualify for the per diem. The government has left some Coast Guard members questioning why the allowance would apply to one security force but not to the other, particularly if both organizations were initially understood to be covered under the same arrangement. Today's CEO in the Ministry of National Defense and Border Security, Francis Usher, clarified the matter, citing that consultation did take place.
So what we proposed was a phased rollout where we take what is already approved in the recurrent budget for food and beverage for the BDF, and we buy MREs, and then we take the per diem. Now we went through a lot of numbers on what we're capable of giving the soldiers, and the number we landed on, which I'm going through and briefing all the soldiers in person. I went to all of them before, and now I'm going to them again to notify them what cabinet has approved, which is that each member of the BDF will receive $17 per day, and those that are operationally deployed, whether it be in the jungle or confined to a camp, any of the various camps working confined duties, meals would be provided for them by way of either MRE or, in some instances, a fresh meal in the case of the echelon and other deployments. Now, we used funds that were already approved. In the case of the Coast Guard, because of the manner in which they operate, where they're able to still take fresh rations direct to their forward operating base via boat, they said through the commandant that they prefer to keep that system of fresh rations. So the reason why the per diem will still be rolled out in the Coast Guard, but it will be rolled out in the new financial year where we have budgeted for it properly. The reason it can be rolled out in the BDF now, this financial year, is because the funds already exist, because we are no longer buying the amount of fresh rations.
To clarify, the per diem for Coast Guard was promised, but it's not something that was in effect yet, so it's not being taken away from them.
No, it's not in effect yet. It's not being taken away. It's just neither the BDF nor the Coast Guard had a feeding per diem. We are about to roll out that. It will be rolled out in October, or in September, October for the BDF, and in April for the Coast Guard.
According to Usher, the meal ready-to-eat MREs will be sourced from the same company that provides for the U.S. military.
So they're being sourced from the same company that provides for the U.S. military, and then for moving forward, that is just to get us through the initial period, and moving forward, it's going out to open tender. We're getting ready to advertise here in about 2 weeks for the new financial year.
And my understanding is that those have been used in the past in the BDF, correct?
Yes, for different training missions, and especially for those that have had the opportunity to be deployed abroad. They haven't been used on a full scale for all the deployments in the BDF, but for various training missions and operations, they have been used.
And no complaints from the soldiers?
So some of the soldiers, in the consultations that I've gone through with them, they brought up some issues that they have had with certain MREs in the past. Whether it be, some of them have said that some brands of MREs may cause constipation, some may cause loose bowels. Everyone's body, it's just freeze-dried food, so people's body react differently. But when they heard that even when operationally deployed, they will still be getting the per diem. So it's not when you deploy, you are not getting the money. You will still be getting it. They said, oh, well, in that case, I can just supplement that with some rice and some beans, and I can have the best of both worlds. So for a 1 year span, we would need about 75,000 of the 24-hour MREs. So that's to feed one soldier for 1 day. We need about roughly 70 to 75,000 of those, which equates to about 6 to 8 containers full.
The Curacao Free Zone is undergoing another round of changes with growing attention on efforts to tighten controls and curb smuggling activities within the commercial area. The frequent changes come as authorities introduce measures aimed at strengthening oversight in a zone that has long been associated with cross-border trade and smuggling. A major factor behind the renewed scrutiny appears to be international security concerns, particularly those coming from the United States. Border security and the fight against drug trafficking remain key priorities for the Trump administration, increasing pressure on countries in the region to strengthen controls along their borders and prevent illicit activity. The changes at the Curacao Free Zone are therefore taking place against a broader backdrop of heightened regional security concerns. Authorities are facing the challenge of maintaining legitimate commercial activity while closing loopholes that could be exploited by smugglers and traffickers. We spoke with Minister Usher about the developments and the reasons behind the government's latest approach to the Curacao Free Zone.
Certainly, it's something that I am aware of. I mean, I think all the ministers that held this portfolio, the Prime Minister as well, Cabinet, is informed of that position that you just brought up in terms of making sure that there's nothing illegal happening in there, that we continue to have regular patrols in the zone, outside the zone, to make sure that there are no illegal activities happening. So that is something that we continue to do. And we have to make sure that we work with our partners. We work with our partners from the US, we work with our partners from Mexico to make sure that this continues to be the case.
Do you think that it was challenging being the ministries you already hold?
It's always a challenge to take on a new portfolio, but it's a responsibility that I hold very high, because I make sure that I give it the best that I can, whatever portfolio the Prime Minister assigns to me, and he said it was for a temporary basis, so we'll see how temporary it is. Well, like I said, we continue to have regular patrols. We continue to make sure that no illegal activities are happening, and that will always continue. And again, in partnership with the US, with Mexico, with the persons running the zone. We have to remember that the free zone, and I said this before, the free zone is an important economic area for the country, especially for the north. You have 3,000 persons more or less working in the zone, 333 businesses that are operating in the zone. It is an area of economic opportunity. It is an important area for business, and we have to make sure that we continue to invest in the zone, meaning that you have other opportunities for investors to come in and be able to offer different services, different products, etc. Maybe some light manufacturing. That's something that we want to move towards in the zone. It's an area that I certainly think that can be positive, but we have to make sure to keep those illegal actors out, keep the illegal activities out, and to work with our partners to make sure that's the case.
As rainfall becomes more frequent across the country, health officials are cautioning residents to take extra precautions against dengue, a mosquito-borne illness that can pose a serious threat to public health. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is reminding the public that the rainy season creates favorable conditions for the spread of dengue, particularly as rainwater can accumulate in containers and other items around homes and communities. The disease is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which commonly breeds in stagnant water. Dengue infections can range from mild to severe and in some cases may become life-threatening. Residents are encouraged to be alert for symptoms such as high fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscle and joint pain, and skin rash. More serious cases may involve bleeding or difficulty breathing. Anyone experiencing symptoms associated with dengue should seek medical care without delay. The ministry emphasizes that preventing dengue requires cooperation from individuals, households, businesses, and communities. Regular inspections of properties and surrounding areas can help identify and eliminate mosquito breeding grounds before they become a problem. Residents are encouraged to take the following steps: empty, cover, or dispose of containers that can hold water around homes and businesses. Get rid of discarded tires, bottles, cans, containers, and other objects that may collect rainwater. Keep drains, yards, vacant lots, and other surrounding areas clear of excessive vegetation, garbage, and debris. Apply mosquito repellent according to the product's directions. Wear long-sleeved clothing, especially during the early morning and late afternoon when mosquitoes are particularly active, and make sure doors and windows have properly fitted screens to limit mosquitoes from entering homes. The Ministry of Health and Wellness says it continues to collaborate with communities, local authorities, and other partners to improve dengue surveillance and strengthen mosquito control efforts across the country. With the rainy season creating more opportunities for mosquito breeding, health officials are urging everyone to remain vigilant and take preventative action to help reduce the spread of dengue. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Equipment and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
Taking steps to improve the way workplace disputes are prevented and resolved through a series of activities led by the Ministry of Immigration, Governance and Labor through the Belize Labor Department in partnership with the International Labor Organization, ILO. The program focused on strengthening the country's labor dispute prevention and resolution systems while enhancing access to fair and effective labor justice. One of the main activities was a diagnostic assessment of the Labor Complaints Tribunal conducted with the support of Pablo Arellano, Senior Specialist in Social Dialogue and Labor Relations at the ILO Regional Office. The assessment examined the tribunal's existing operations and provided an opportunity for stakeholders to review the findings, offer feedback, and discuss possible steps to improve its work. The program also featured a regional knowledge exchange session under the theme Labor Dispute Prevention and Resolution Systems, Improving Access to Labor Justice. The session brought together representatives from the Industrial Tribunal of the Bahamas, Belize's Labor Complaints Tribunal, and the Industrial Court of Trinidad and Tobago to share experiences and approaches to resolve labor disputes. Nancy Varela, Social Dialogue and Labor Administration Specialist with the ILO Decent Work Team and Office for the Caribbean, delivered opening remarks. Presentations followed from Her Honor Indira Dimitri Francis, President of the Industrial Tribunal of the Bahamas. His Honor Herbert Soveral, Vice President of the Industrial Court of Trinidad and Tobago, and representatives of Belize's Labor Complaints Tribunal. Arellano also provided technical insights before participants engaged in a roundtable discussion focused on lessons learned and the way forward. In addition, Labor Department technical officers and representatives of employers and workers' organizations participated in specialized training on access to labor justice and strategies for preventing and resolving workplace disputes. The training provided participants with practical skills in negotiation and conciliation, covering areas such as positional and interest-based negotiation, reframing, effective questioning, paraphrasing, emotional dynamics, and body language. Role-play exercises were also used to give participants practical experience in handling workplace conflicts and applying dispute resolution techniques. According to the ministry, the activities are part of its wider efforts to build the institutional capacity of the Belize Labor Department and Labor Complaints Tribunal. The initiative also seeks to strengthen mechanisms for resolving disputes, prevent conflicts from escalating, and ensure that workers and employers have better access to labor justice. Belize has strengthened its commitment to environmental protection and regional sustainability with the launch of several major initiatives aimed at safeguarding forests, freshwater resources, watersheds, marine ecosystems, and biodiversity across Central America and the Dominican Republic. The initiatives were unveiled by the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change, and Solid Waste Management in collaboration with the Central American Commission on Environment and Development (CCAD) during Belize's pro tempore presidency. The announcements mark significant progress in regional cooperation and reinforce Belize's role in advancing environmental resilience throughout the SICA region. Among the key developments is the updated CCAD Regional Environmental Framework Strategy, RAM 2026-2035, a shared roadmap designed to guide the region towards a more environmentally sustainable, resilient, and inclusive future. The strategy focuses on 5 priority areas: environmental quality, seasoned biodiversity, integrated water resource management, forests and sustainable landscapes, and climate change. Through coordinated regional action, the framework seeks to address environmental challenges while strengthening cooperation among countries. The event also introduced the new Great Forests of Central America and the Dominican Republic brand known as Green Heritage Patrimonio Verde. The initiative represents a new communications approach for CCAD, shifting away from simply highlighting activities and instead emphasizing measurable results and real-world impact. The strategy will showcase regional integration, evidence-based decision-making, achievements within communities and territories, and the growing network of partners working to protect the region's natural heritage. Another major milestone is the Regional CAMA project, implemented in partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States, FAO. The project will invest approximately $20 million across the region to strengthen watershed management and protect marine environments. The initiative, titled Improving Source-to-Sea Governance to Reduce the Drivers of Land-Based Impacts on the Caribbean and Pacific Central American Large Marine Ecosystems, will target the connections between activities on land and their impacts on coastal and marine ecosystems. An overview presented by Anthony Mai, Chief Environmental Officer with the Department of the Environment, highlighted 3 critical watersheds in Belize: the Belize River, New River, and Rio Hondo watersheds. The project is expected to strengthen environmental governance, promote integrated watershed and coastal zone management, demonstrate nature-based solutions and sustainable financing approaches, and expand regional technical knowledge and capacity. And Belize also formalized a new partnership with the Nature Conservancy TNC through a memorandum of understanding focused on protecting and restoring the country's freshwater resources and aquatic ecosystems. The agreement between the ministry and the Nature Conservancy establishes a voluntary framework for cooperation on freshwater conservation and ecosystem management. Areas of collaboration will include stronger environmental governance, ecosystem restoration, improved data and monitoring systems, freshwater biodiversity conservation, climate adaptation, public awareness, and transboundary water cooperation. The partnership was presented by Saul Cruz, Director of the National Biodiversity Office, and Hannah St. Luz Martinez, Director of the Nature Conservancy Belize, underscoring the importance of coordinated action to protect freshwater systems in the face of increasing environmental and climate pressures. The collection of initiatives demonstrates the importance of regional partnerships in addressing environmental challenges that cross national borders. From forest and freshwater systems to watersheds and marine ecosystems, the programs seek to connect policy, science, financing, and on-the-ground conservation efforts. The milestones were made possible through the participation of key technical leaders from the ministry, as well as regional partners and environmental experts who contribute to advancing these initiatives. Minister Honorable Orlando Habet, CEO Milagros Matos, and the regional leaders and technical teams were recognized for their continued efforts in advancing environmental cooperation and building a more resilient and sustainable future for Belize and the wider region. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, August 18th, here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read the text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com, Ctv3 Belize News, or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.